One Big 550 KTRS. Kelly Jackson, we know you are involved with pets, and your website is what?
ARF.com.
And you have a pet walking business as well.
That's right,
as
my BFF.
And ARF.com is dedicated to
Older pets.
older pets. So this next topic sort of fits right in.
It really does.
Here in studio is a friend of the show, longtime friend of the show, Bob Jenkins, who is with a company called LetYourLoveGrow.com. Bob, welcome to Big 550 KTRS.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
You're also part of a documentary that's going to air November 22nd. That's tomorrow night at WashU. It's called Forever.
That's correct.
And it's about the losing your pet.
Yeah, what it is, the lady that made this, her brother actually worked at a rescue center, and he was upset how the pets were being treated at death, and was expressing it with Amy Finkel, who is a producer. So she started doing a documentary. It took about 3 or 4 years. And how we got involved is our company, Let Your Love Grow, is a member of PLPA. We're a charter member, and PLPA is a Pet Loss Professional Alliance. It's an international association, and we're up to about 200 members now. And what we're trying to do is create a standard and a code of ethics for pet crematories and pet afterlife services that aren't unlike what AHA has in the veterinarian field, to where there's a criteria that there's it's just not a mandated profession right now. So there's a lot of things going on. So this documentary is really, it's a little unnerving in some points because it shows some pretty brutal sights.
I mean, people taking advantage of you being sad because your pet died.
Absolutely. It shows the good and the bad, and it really shows some of the ugly in it too. But the whole point of it is how people really love their pets. My wife and I are a perfect example. We don't have any children, and our pets are our children. And it goes through, it talks about people that lost a pet and the suffering that they faced. And today, pet grief is becoming more acceptable. People are feeling more comfortable to talk about their pet grief. But there are full-service pet funeral homes, crematories, and cemeteries, just as there are on the human market.
So tell us about what is LetYourLoveGrow.com.
Let Your Love Grow is, my wife and I own Let Your Love Grow, and it's an organic company. A lot of people are unaware that cremated remains are actually toxic to the environment. They're very, very high in sodium, and they have a pH.
You're talking animals here.
Any human.
Okay.
Animals are human. Bone is actually toxic to the environment. So the pH level is very high, and that's why you see fossils that are thousands and thousands of years old. The pH is so much higher than the soil, they're not able to break down. So we've created an organic matter made from totally residual products that will lower the pH of the bone of human or pet. We do both humans and pets, and allow it to become active in the environment and truly become part of a living plant. So it truly puts them back into the earth in organic matter and keeps balance with Mother Nature.
So how would you would buy this from you, and then you would mix it with your remains?
That's correct. Yeah, we sell it in kits. Where our biggest customer is are mostly pet crematories, because as you'll see in this documentary, a lot of pet crematories have to dispose of all the bone after communal cremations, and that's usually when a pet parent or a rescue league or somebody has to have the pet disposed of. And if they're cremated, they have this massive amount of bone structure left, and they have to dispose of that. And unfortunately, a lot of places take it to a landfill. And if the pet parents knew that, they would be pretty upset. So with our product, they can actually mix our product in bulk and let it sit for a month or two. Then they can actually scatter it over any garden area, ground area, and it goes back into the environment. And usually it's maintained on a cemetery ground, so it creates that place of memorialization to where a landfill is not a place to memorialize.
And it seems like your business is booming because more and more pet parents are not only caring for their pets, during their life, but after life. It's very important how they treat their pet after they die.
You're exactly right, Kelly. So many people, again, in our situation, our pet was our child. And how we got into this, in 98, we had a little 5-pound toy dachshund, and a coyote got her in our front yard. And she lived for about 18 months after the attack, and we were willing to spend any amount of money to keep her alive, but unfortunately her body succumbed to all the anesthesia from surgeries. Well, when she died, and I've been a licensed embalmer funeral director for 35 years, so I've been exposed to funeral service. But when she died, and the specialty clinic called us and told us, they said, well, here's your options. You can have her cremated, or you can pick her up and bury her. And I'm like, that's it? And that was it. Mm-hmm. Well, here I have a background in funeral service, so I thought there's got to be more to this. So I started looking into the market, and that's how we came up with our company. And then by growing our company, we're trademarked in the United States and Canada, and I've been out to some incredible locations that just really will put human funeral homes to shame in the quality of service they provide to pet families.
Okay, so the documentary tonight at Webster University, tomorrow night, I should say. The documentary is called Forever. Your company is LetYourLoveGrow.com. When my little Molly goes to the big dog heaven in the sky, I'm not going to send her to a pet cemetery. I'm going to probably have her cremated. But you're telling me that I can go to LetYourLoveGrow.com, get something, mix it with her ashes, put it in the back, and then see her ashes grow into a tree, and I can at least fondly remember her through a tree for years to come.
That's correct.
Whereas if I didn't use it, it would just sort of sit there in the soil, not doing anything.
That's exactly right. It's very dormant. It's stable. It's not going to change on its own. And let's go back to, when the time comes, what happens most of the times, people go to the veterinarian, and the veterinarian either will have to euthanize the pet, or the pet may be dead on arrival, whatever cases, but the veterinarian kind of fills in as the funeral director here. And there are some veterinarians that are very, very good at this and talk to the pet parents about it and how they can go through the process.
Right.
But many veterinarians aren't. And it's a matter of, okay, your choices are you can take it home and bury it in the backyard, or we'll take care of it for you, but never really explain to a family what taking care of that means.
Right.
So PLPA is trying to close that gap between the cremation providers and the veterinarian associations. We just actually opened a crematory here in Eureka, Missouri called Loving Hearts. And I brought two people together, one from Kansas City and one from Chicago, to create a pet funeral home in this market. And we're going to be opening up in about a month.
Which I think is a good point, because I want to mention something really quickly. I think that a lot of people are not aware of what happens in a pet crematorium. There are some in this area, and what you get when you get your dog's ashes may be mixed in with maybe another pet's ashes.
That is a wonderful remark.
And
so you're not getting Fido, you're getting somebody else's dog.
And depending on who you go to,
That's correct.
it's a big thing. And there are some places where you can actually go and see.
And you can hit
because it's not regulated.
Right.
The pet.
It's not. That's exactly right. It's not regulated. And this documentary exposes some of that. There's a lot of corruption going on in the market, because there's 62 million homes in the United States with one or more pets. The pet industry itself is a $52 billion industry. That does not include any afterlife care.
Right. Environmentally, though, it's not good to have these ashes sitting around for hundreds of years, right?
They have no harmful effect. We've had people, our product has worked, it doesn't matter how old the bone is. We've actually mixed husband and wives together. We've mixed an old pet owner and the pet ashes together to create memorials. So they have no harmful effect if they're sitting on a shelf in an urn.
Right.
They are toxic to plant life. And that's what we've done, is create an organic solution.
But this LetYourLoveGrow.com is both for pets and for humans.
It is, yes.
Interesting.
That is interesting.
All right, Bob
Thank
Jenkins, friend of the show. Weird business to get into, but God love you.
Yep.
Bob Jenkins, the LetYourLoveGrow.com is the website, and Forever is a documentary that he's featured in tomorrow night at Webster University. Bob, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
929, Big 550,